part of the recording, just turn off your camera for this one. But our recording is starting right now. Okay, if you can't hear anything, if I will type this through. If you can't hear anything, please leave and rejoin. I am just going to do a mic check with my moderators. Moderators, can you hear me? Are we doing okay?
Yep, everything's good.
All right, amazing. So everyone, I will have my my camera on for the first bit for the intro, just so you remember that there is a person here. And remember, we are here to answer any of your questions. If you want to have this specific window focused and you just want to look at what the presentation is going to be, what you can always do is you can always left click more actions, and then you can click focus and then full screen. Okay, you can click both of these two together and it will cover up the whole your whole monitor. Okay, but let's get started. So this is going to be an introduction to Office 365, and we're going to be talking about 4 different applications today. But this is myself. My name is Miguel. I'm part of the Square One training team. Thank you so much for having us. And the reason why we're doing this is because it is Microsoft's mission to have everybody achieve more and empower organizations with our tools and resources. And part of that would be Office 365. So this is going to be our agenda for today, right? It is going to be a rough agenda, but just so you know, we have 4 different topics that we're going to be looking at. One is OneDrive, which is going to be your cloud storage. 2 is your OneNote, which is your digital notebook. 3 is going to be Sway, which is a very quick tool to make newsletters immediately if you need to. And then 4 for your forms, which you'll be able to have, quizzes and basically data gathering. All right. Now, for my moderators, please just check to see for your audio settings, right? If you're doing okay, please make sure. If you can't hear anything, I just want to make sure that everyone, please check your settings, which I will show right now. If you find that you still can't hear anything, make sure to click the More Actions, click Device Settings, and then make sure that your speaker is routing to wherever you're listening from. So it might be routing to your monitor that you might not hear, you might not be able to hear, even though I know I'm speaking right now for this one. Yes, for this. Okay, I still have my hand raised. All right, so everybody, this is going to be our agenda. So we're going to exit out of this and start. All right, so first things first, this is going to be the overview of your dashboard. And what this is your landing page for Office 365 on your browser. Okay, this is going to be your landing page for Office 365. And how do you get here? All you have to do is you go to portal.office.com or you go to office.com and you sign in with your University of Ottawa credentials, and you'll be able to jump into this landing page, which will look similar to this. You'll have all of your recent documents that you have, and you'll have all of the different applications that you have access to on the left side of the screen. Miguel, I don't know what any of these icons mean. I don't understand what these are. Don't worry, you can always left click the upper left of your screen to the app launcher, where you'll be able to see all of those icons with the names appended to the right of it. Okay. Now, throughout this session, we will be using a specific demo account by the name of Kara Coleman, and you will find them on the upper right of this page. Kara Coleman is going to be our our educator demo for today. And so if you see their name, this means that it is us manipulating that data. Okay. Now I'm going to turn off my camera so we can actually look at this if we're focused in and full screened on the presentation. So what we're going to be discussing first is OneDrive, which is the cloud icon that's right here. So you can click OneDrive, or again, you can click your app launcher, and it will go into a tab that looks like this. And what is OneDrive? OneDrive is basically your cloud storage. Think of it as Dropbox, your Google Drive, right? Your iCloud, all of these different things. But the biggest, the most important thing for OneDrive is it is attached to you. It is attached to your credentials in University of Ottawa. This means if you're signed in, you can just start uploading different documents into OneDrive. Okay. And for this one, because it is your cloud storage, right? You want to have your files in here accessible. And the reason why you're going to be using OneDrive is because if, for example, your computer gets thrown out the window and you need to get another one, you can just get a different computer, sign into that computer, and you will have OneDrive accessible with all of your different documents. So putting files into this one is very simple. All you have to do is go to OneDrive, you just click upload. At the top, you just click files, and then it will open up your file explorer right here. And I have some example documents which are really blank, but we have a test example 2 that's here. We just click this and then click open, or you can just select a few and then just click open. It should upload immediately. And when it's done, it pops up in here. Okay. Now, this is a very good repository. So this is a very good backup for all of your files, right? If you don't want stuff to disappear, you can just put them in here. On the along with this, okay, you can also upload full folders inside of your computer if you'd like, and just upload them en masse like here. But please remember that if it is a very, very big folder, OneDrive might have a hard time like uploading it all at once. So I would suggest you break up your upload into smaller pieces, okay, when you're uploading through. Now, Miguel, why would I put all of these things in here, right? What is the point? I could just put it in a backup folder, right? Or I could put it in a USB drive. So if, for example, we had a Word document, which is this test1 document right now, and I left click this test1 document, it actually opens up that document inside of your browser as well. And the most powerful thing when it comes to OneDrive is you can actually share this specific document to other people as well. All right. So if you had this document shared to other people, you can then have them come in and immediately start working on the document with you. They will show up as different colored cursors that they can then start typing through, right? They can start adding their own lines. They can add their own edits if you need to. Okay. But that would be it. Okay. That's the reason why you would do that. And you'll still have this whole your whole document attached to yourself, and I'll explain to you why that is important. But if you share this out to a lot of people, they can then put in the things that they would like to put in and then, be done. However, because this is your file, you want to make sure that you have the last say of when someone says this edit is terrible, right? Let's say someone types that in and you don't want that. You have the final option of making sure that only specific people can edit your document inside of OneDrive. Okay, and how do you do that? So we're going to get out of this one. Okay, we're just going to exit out of this document. And we're going to look at our OneDrive homepage again. And we're going to look at our OneDrive homepage again. And then for this one, we were looking at test 1. Okay, we were looking at test 1 document. And for us to share this out, all we have to do is hover over it. We select this file on the left side. Now, remember, we're not left clicking into the file itself. We're just left clicking the side of it. And then you'll see that there's a lot of options at the top. And the most important thing is sharing that file. Because if I click share from here, I will now be able to say, these are the different, these are the different links that I want to send to people, but what can they do with it? So we'll look at sharing this out and say, if we want to share it out by default, it will say anyone with the link can edit this. This means when you finally have a link and you put it through, anyone who just clicks into that link can just edit your document, no problem. However, we don't want to do that sometimes, right? We want to make sure that we can just have them view it, maybe proofread a few things. And what we can do is left click this part here where it says anyone with a link, and you'll find that there are a lot of different options at the bottom. And by default, it does say anyone with a link. But the second one is people in Contoso with the link. Contoso is our fictional school. Okay, Contoso is the fictional school where our fictional Kara Coleman works. And what you'll find for this one is people in your organization with the link. So this means anyone who has a University of Ottawa address will be able to use this link. If they forward it to a random personal email like a Gmail or an Outlook.com account, they will not be able to open it. All right. The third one is if you've already shared something to somebody, if you've already shared this document to somebody and you made changes, they won't get notified of those changes. So if you want to just kind of nudge them again and say, hey, we did something different with test one document, you can just put people with existing access and they will get an email saying that something has changed within that document. The one that I use the most in my day-to-day is the specific people one, which means you would have to put in specific emails that will have access to this file. Okay. And now those specific people will then be able to do what you want them to do. So if we click specific people, for example, you'll see at the bottom of other settings, it will say, are we allowing editing for these other people? If we only want them to read it, but we don't want them to edit it, we can uncheck this box. And we can even block their download. So they're only looking at it through the browser. Okay, they're only looking at it through the browser. If for example, you allow editing, but all you want to do is give them permission to give you comments and let's say proofreading material, you can also just open it in review mode only instead of just the full editing capabilities, because what this does is they will only be able to put comments onto the document, but they cannot change the document at all. All right. So you'll find that this is under specific people. And then when I click apply, for example, let's say I'm going to block editing and I'm going to block the download. It's just informational for them, right? I can click apply and it will tell you only the people you specify who have this link will have access to view only. So now I can put in, let's say Alex is a fictional coworker of ours, or sorry, a fictional student of ours. So Alex will be here, but also maybe I can put in an example at gmail.com. Let's say another student, or let's say it's Alex's personal email, right? And now only these two specific emails will be able to open this up. This means if Alex forwards this link to other people, those other people will see that they don't have access at all. All right. And the reason why this is so important is to just make sure if you're working with other people on a document, you have full control of who has access to what. Okay. So if, for example, we go back to anyone with the link, and let's say it's an informational piece of document, you can just unclick allow editing and then just block the download so they could just see what you want them to see. You can even set an expiration date and even set a password so that they would need to have a password. Okay. Now, I'm going to go back to specific people. I'm going to apply this one, and then I'm just going to send it to one person, Alex, and then we're going to put in our example at gmail.com. And then we're going to click send. Miguel, I made a mistake. I didn't want to send it to that Gmail person. What do I do? So once you've sent out the link, they will get an email saying that you have access to this specific document, and then they can click into it. If you wanted to change that, you can always select your test one document, And on the right side of it, you'll see that there are 3 dots. This just means more options. If you ever see this on Office 365, it just means there are more things that you can do with this file. So I can left click these 3 dots, and then I'll find an option that says Manage Access. And I can click Manage Access. And from here, you'll find all of the links that you've sent that are giving access to this document. And I can even just stop sharing immediately, and it just makes everything private. Okay, it just makes you the owner, the only person who can even edit or view this file through all of this. So when I click stop sharing, I'll have everyone look at this one. So you'll see that the sharing tab, the sharing column for our test 1 says it's been shared with other people. If I click stop sharing, this will delete all of those links, and it will turn our shared file into a private file again. Okay. So there you go. So it's not saying it right now, so we can refresh it. You can refresh it, and there you go. Now it's private again. What else can you do inside of OneDrive? Okay. You'll be able to get all of your different, what are the most recent files that you've been looking at. Okay. You'll find it here as well. You'll also find what has been shared with you, whether it's been shared with you or shared by you. What are the different files that you've sent out to other people, and you'll be able to see them from here in case you wanted to make sure that you had you were able to remove access to certain people. This is where you can find it. Now, let's say you're in your files and this test 1 document, you just think, you know what, this document is done, I'm going to delete this. Okay, it's over. A colleague of yours comes up to you and says, hey, do you still have the test 1 file? And it's not there anymore. So where do you find it? It is going to be in recycle bin. So it's just here. And if you left click and select this test 1 document, you can restore it to where it was. Now, if for example, you're always clean with your recycle bin, you know what, I don't need this anymore, and I delete this one more time, and someone comes up to you, do you still have that test 1 document? You can go to the second stage recycle bin and find that test 1 document one last time. So you actually have 3 gates, or sorry, you have 2 gates before your document finally disappears forever. Because from here, you can then click it and then restore it back to your files originally. So don't worry about accidentally deleting it twice, because there is always a 3rd time where you have to finally delete it completely. Okay. Now, if you look at your OneDrive, these are where all of your files will be. Your folders for your OneNote notebooks will be here as well, which we'll be looking at in a bit. And then you'll find on the left side, there is shared libraries as well. And these are the different teams that you may have inside of Microsoft Teams. And you'll see the different files that are part of that in here as well. Okay. So if you just kind of click around and see, oh, I have a team that is for, let's say, the staff, the staff team, you'll be able to see the different folders that they have here. Okay. Now, that is a quick overview of OneDrive, right? We've talked about how to upload stuff into it and how would you share out your files to other people. And if you accidentally, delete something, where does it go? So I'm just going to look in. All right, amazing. Now, we're going to move on to a OneNote, but please make sure that you are putting your questions into the chat. All right, because we will be looking back at it as well later when we need to redemo something. But we're going to OneNote after this one, which is a segue from our notebooks area, from our OneDrive. So you can go back to your home. Okay, you can go back to your landing page, and then you can click OneNote on the left side, and it will take you to this page. All right, and now this is a fresh account that I just made to make sure that it's not cluttered. But there's no notebook yet for this one. We are actually editing something up here. But if there's no notebook in there yet, you can always just left click new notebook, and then you should be able to basically have a new template, right? Like what that notebook looks like. So you can left click that one, and I will say January 19 demo notebook. Now, Miguel, what's the point of this? I understand OneDrive. I can store files into it. But what's the point of OneNote? So OneNote, the most powerful feature of OneNote is because it is a digital notebook where you can put basically everything that you may need in your digital life into this notebook and have it saved across multiple devices as long as you have your credentials and you have your username and password. I find that if I was trying to organize a lot of different things, then this would be it. I personally have a physical notebook that I still write in when there are meetings, but OneNote is that, but in the digital space. So what would it look like? So right now we have an empty notebook here. Okay? And what would it look like if you've already put in some sections? We're going to look at the demo notebook that I was making earlier just to show you. And you'll see that, remember, a physical notebook is you can put flaglets on the side, right? To make sure that you're putting sections together. And when you pull open one of the flaglets, it goes into section 1. So same thing with the notebooks for OneNote. On the bottom left of it, you'll see that you can, you'll see that there is the add section for on the lower left, okay, where you can add a section to OneNote. And this means we're putting in those new flaglets. Okay, so this is our introduction to OneNote section that I made earlier. And this one is just not the intro section that I made. So if I wanted to put a third one, I can just say this is the third section. Apologies, everyone. I'm not very good at naming demo items, but you'll find that there are different sections already here. And inside each of those individual sections, you will see that there's actually multiple pages. And each section is virtually unlimited. It will take however much space you have. If you have enough space to handle it, it will just keep making pages. So this means if we're in the introduction to OneNote section, the one on the right side of it, text, media, and subpages, you can then start adding pages at the bottom. So we're going to click subpages and then click add page, and then just keep adding pages. Right? And all of that will just be under this specific section. Okay, if we go into the not the intro section, it will have separate pages in there as well. So you're organizing all of these things. And why is this important? Because in each individual page, let's say the text page, there is your actual workspace here, which is the actual OneNote page. So I can start saying, hello, everyone. This is our text page for OneNote. And this means that I can type here, but also like a normal notebook, you can actually just write anywhere. And I can say second line for OneNote. So you're not really bound by any format that you don't want. And if you start typing out text, you can actually find them in small boxes that you can move around the page and put them anywhere that you'd like. Okay. Why is this important? Because inside of OneNote, you also have at the top of the screen, you have your formatting options, and you'll also be able to use some drawing tools. So if you wanted to make, let's say, a diagram that is our first box, and let's say this is the second box. If I just wanted to put in, let's say this one, I'm going to just put in a pen. I'm going to put in a red, a red piece here, and I can just draw this line and put that through. Now, unfortunately, I was just using my mouse. It's not super neat, but you can then start making diagrams by using the draw function and using the text function. And this will be saved as is. So when you exit out of OneNote, you can then have it here. What else can you add? Okay, what are the top level things that you can add here? So we're going to go into media. Along with being able to draw, right? Along with being able to draw, let's say you wanted to have a lecture, okay? And you just wanted to put in some pages and things like that. You wanted to insert a few things. So I can go down, instead of the title as media, I can go, whoops, I'm going to click the select button again. It's still reading it as I'm holding a pen. So I can click media, and then I can go to insert, and then I can just put in a picture from my computer or from the camera right now, or from even online. And I can just type puppy, let's say, right? And I can put in this little guy in here, and you'll have a photo inside of your page immediately. And the reason why this is so powerful is because not just pictures, right? But between pictures and text, you can then say, this is a puppy. Along with pictures, you can also put in audio. So let's say you have a meeting going on, right? And you ask everybody, can I record this meeting, right? Because you're going to be taking minutes, right? You can click audio, and I will allow this website to use my microphone. But what I'm going to do is I'm just going to start recording a quick audio file, right? We're doing some recording. And let's say this is the meeting that's happening. This is the lecture that's happening, what have you. And I hear something that I need to take note of. And I'm going to say, I'm just going to enter this one. This is a part of the recording that I want to take a note of. Okay. And then you stop, you listen in, and then something happens again where you just put in, this is a second note. And then when I stop this audio, and I'm actually going to unshare my screen super quickly, and I'm just going to reshare it so I can have you listen. I'm going to unshare my screen and then reshare it with my audio. If we have this recording and we play it, we'll hear the whole thing, right? But if I actually look at each individual line that's here, it's not letting me through for some reason. If we look at these individual line right here, you should be able to play that record. But what I'm going to do is I'm just going to start recording. Okay. If you started typing this in, now for some reason it's not working with mine, but it should work with you. You'll find a very, very small play button on the left side of this line where it will take you to wherever it was in the audio when you started typing. Okay, so try it out on your end. You should be able to see it. Unfortunately, my demo tenant is not playing nice right now, but you'll find a small play button on the left side, and that will let you listen in on where you were when you were taking that note. Along with this, you can also insert specific files. Let's say you had, a handout that you wanted to kind of take, or a PDF that you wanted to put in your OneNote as well. You wanted to save it for posterity. You can insert it as a file attachment, and I'm going to choose file. And let's say this test one Word document, and I insert it. It will put it in like an attachment as if it's an email. But also, if I click file, if I click insert and then file, and instead insert it as a file printout, and I choose a file, and I say test example 2, press open and insert, you'll notice that this is going to be a blank page, unfortunately, but you'll notice that this whole document, oh, there you go. There you go. I put in a template of a resume, just so you can see. So the difference between putting in the file attachment and putting in a PDF as a file printout, it shows you the whole printout. And from here, you can then work in conjunction with your draw and with your different text items, so that you'll be able to at least, mark a document if you need. Make sure that it's always with you. Okay. So there you go. Now, if you have OneNote, let's say, if you have OneNote on your phone and you sign in with your credentials, or if you have OneNote as a desktop application and you sign in with your credentials, all of these different files will actually just be pulled in and it will be on your OneNote application. So this means wherever you're making these notes, whether it's on your phone or on your desktop or on your browser, it will be saved across all devices. And that's why I believe that OneNote is actually so powerful. Now, all right, but this would be, super high level. I just want to make sure that you at least see it. And if you wanted to try it out, right, you can always just um, go to your OneNote page and just start messing about with the sections and the pages. The last thing I'm going to show you when it comes to OneNote, though, is something that we call tags. And I'm going to put this in our sub page here. All right. Actually, the last two, sorry. You'll see that in organization of my pages, I have text, media, and then the sub pages, you can see that they're indented. And if I go into the not the intro section, you'll see that I have example pages, example sub page, and example sub page 2. Because this is how you can organize it to make sure that even though they're inside of a section, maybe there's a main page and there's 6 sub pages to something, you can always just right click one of these pages. Let's say the example sub page. I can right click this and then I can make it into another sub page or promote that sub page so that it's in line with, the main pages. You can only make 2 indentations for your pages. So you can only make them into sub page 1 and then sub page 2. This is how it's going to look like. And that's how you make sure you organize your pages together. All right. The last thing I'm going to show you is tags. And the reason why I use this so often is because we make so many to-do lists, for example, right? But we make to-do lists everywhere. We write it down or we put it in a Word document, we put it in an email to ourselves. But if you're using OneNote, I can say this is a to-do list, and I'm just going to make this bigger for everybody. There you go. Let's say this is a to-do list, right? And then this one is take out the trash, buy dog food, and submit some documents, right? Let's say this is your to-do list. What you can do with tags is you can go to home. You can look to the right side of your home bar. You'll find that there's tags here, and you can set it so that it categorizes each of these individual lines. So I can say this is a to-do line. Do the same thing. I can say this is a to-do line, and then I can say this is another to-do. So when I'm done with this, I can actually just check this. There you go. I bought dog food. And then I can actually press enter as well. And because we're coming from a to-do tag, it just makes another to-do tag underneath. And not just to-do tags, honestly, not just to-dos. You can also make it so that maybe there's something important that you have to remember. Or you can make sure that, oh, this is going to be something that there's a contact of somebody, or there's a phone number, right? Or there's a question that you might have. And the reason why this is important is because if you were trying to if you were trying to find, if you were using the OneNote desktop application, unfortunately online it doesn't have it, but on the OneNote desktop application, you'll be able to find and sort through all of the different tags that you have. And let's say I just want to see the to-do tags, or I just want to see the question mark tags. So for yourself, you can set it so that it just reminds you of the things that are important to you. And I see that there's a question. I just looked down at the question area. Would it be true to say that all files under OneNote are always saved automatically? Yes. They are saved automatically. As long as you are connected online, it will automatically save. And to prove this, I'm going to go to File, and then I will show you that there is literally nothing. There is no save button at all, because it assumes that it is always being saved. So to see that, you'll actually look to your upper right of the screen. where you'll see a cloud icon, which is basically your OneDrive icon. And remember, our OneDrive is our cloud storage. So if I actually click that cloud storage, it will say page saved. The page was last synced just now. Yes. How can you find all of your to-dos? So unfortunately for the tags on the online version, you won't be able to just search it through. But if you actually open this up, and I won't show this right now, unfortunately, because it dives a bit deep into OneNote, you can actually edit it in desktop app. And if you're using, let's say, um, the computer that you have that would have all of your Office 365 stuff, if you click edit in desktop app, you will find beside the tags icon, you will actually see a box that says find different tags or sort different tags, and you'll be able to do that. You just won't be able to do it in the online version, okay? But you will be able to put in those tags that you need. All right. So now that we've saved all of these, okay, we've saved everything here. From here, because we were using a demo notebook for training, let's say this is not the notebook that you want to use anymore. Okay, maybe there's a different thing that you would like. You can actually click that notebook name up here, and you'll find all of the different notebooks that you own. Okay, so you're just pulling it out from your bag and going, this is the notebook that I need for today. And we have our January 19 demo notebook already here as well. Okay. Oh, thank you so much, Amanda. Thank you so much, Amanda. Amanda has put in a screenshot inside of the chat that shows you the find tags option in your OneNote desktop application. So remember, it is going to be in the desktop application because the beauty of the online version is you can use it anywhere, whatever device you're using in a pinch. But if you had the capacity of the desktop application, you'll actually find that there's a lot more things that you can do within it. But again, this is going to be our intro. But I will take questions at the end of this, no problem. Okay, so we've talked about OneDrive, right? Saving all of these things. Let me know if this apologies everyone that I didn't zoom in at the start of this, but let me know if this is a good size for everyone, if it's too big, if it's too small. Let me know. But we talked about OneDrive, we talked about your files, we talked about how to grab your files again if they get deleted, and now we're also talking about your OneNote, okay? And to find, and I'm just going to move this over here. Perfect. If you look at your OneDrive, now we'll actually be able to go into notebooks, into the notebooks folder, and you'll find all of those different notebooks that you have. So you'll actually find your demo notebook for training here and your January 19 demo notebook in here as well. So now that we have an understanding more of what OneNote is, this will be where it'll be saved. Okay, so it's always there, and it will say this was made an hour ago. And once we close this, this should say this was edited a few minutes ago as well. All right. So with that said, we're going to exit out of our OneNote. Okay. And we're just going to talk about two more things. So we talked about OneDrive, we talked about OneNote. The next thing we're going to be talking about is Sway. And Sway is pretty straightforward. It is just something that a lot of people forget they have access to. And Sway is a tool that makes very quick presentations. Okay, very quick presentations. All right, I think this was something that I opened earlier, so we're just going to zoom it one more time, like so. And what this does, sorry everyone. Okay, what this does is if we have a Sway and we wanted to convey a lot of information in one go, sometimes PowerPoints are too long to make because you just want to dump the content somewhere and make sure that it's shareable to everyone. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to click New Blank Sway. All right, and sorry for this one, I just jumped into it. Apologies, everyone. If you go back to your landing page, you'll find Sway inside of your app launcher on the upper left, and it is under Sway. Okay. Be careful you don't accidentally click SharePoint because it also has an S. It's just the Sway one that's here. All right. So what sways do is it conveys a lot of information in a quick amount of time. You can make it immediately. And I'll actually show you an example so that we have a better understanding of this super quickly. And I'll show you my own sway, my personal sways. So for example, this was a resume that I made actually. So everyone, this is a resume I made in 2018. And all of these, I made this in about 6 minutes because I just took my resume and just put it through. And you'll see that there's already photos, right? There's already animations. And all I had to do was scroll down and all of that information was already here. Because the thing with Sway is when you edit it, it edits as cards. Okay. So let's make a quick one. Let's say we're going to make one about puppies. Super simple. Puppies. We're going to have a title for it. And now it will highlight, hey, do you want to add text or images or videos? All you have to do is click the plus icon. But we're just going to put a background first. Okay, we put in puppies and we're going to grab background and it will suggest a few things already for you. Right? You can just search up a few things. Let's grab this corgi and we can add it through. So you just select it, right? And then you add it on the upper right. And immediately you'll see that there. Okay, you'll see that photo immediately in there. And if I wanted to talk more about puppies, let's say it's like a newsletter, right? It's my puppy newsletter. I can click insert content, which is this plus button. And then I can click any of these icons because I'm going to decide, oh, I want the next one to be text. I'm going to be talking about puppies, or I just want it to be an image of puppies. Okay? And it will give you some suggestions. Do you want another heading, right? Let's say we'll do a heading first and say, add a first level heading, history, okay? History of them. And from here, you can then put in a section that goes, we're going to be talking about the history of puppies. We can now add text. And now I can say this is the history of puppies, right? And then just I can copy paste what I've already written down somewhere in a Word document, for example. And I can just put it in here. And then I can put a background in of this one for this heading. Okay. And now I can put one more heading, the second one, and I'm going to say, why are they amazing? And then I'm just going to put in another text so you can see what, we can put in images if we want. All right. So we can put in images. Let's say these ones. I can add another image and we can put in this one. And then I can put in another text box just to say because they are. Now, we already have a lot of info that we're already using. And from here, you can actually preview it and see, you know what will it look like? I can click play on the upper right. This is what it looks like. Okay. Now, Miguel, it's going left to right. Weren't you using one that was vertical? So the beautiful thing about it is when I click edit again, and I go back to this page, I go to design, and I can then go to styles on the right side. And from here, I can actually just immediately say I want it to scroll vertically, and I'll be able to scroll vertically through. I'll be able to do horizontal, and it goes through horizontal, or slides if it's like a PowerPoint presentation. If you really want it to be slide based, you can still do that. But from here, you can then just click remix, and then it will just make, what it believes to be, what these things go together. Awesome. And you can already make it into styles. And then from here, you can undo it as well. When I play it, this is what my sway will look like. And it even has those animations immediately. Notice that we didn't put in any sort of animation at all, and it's already here. And then from here, I can left click share on the upper right. And same thing with the OneDrive links that we were sending earlier. We can share it with specific people or groups. We can share it with those in our organization with the link, so those in the University of Ottawa with the link, or anyone with the link at all. And as we were talking about as well in OneDrive earlier, we can just invite people to view it, or we can invite people to edit it. So I will just say anyone with the, anyone with the link can view it, and I can say get a visual link. So if you wanted it to look better, you can copy this and send this to an email message, right? Or I can just actually just grab this link, copy it, and then paste it somewhere. So I'm actually just going to copy this through and put it in our meeting chat. And you'll see that if you try to click what we put in our meeting chat, you won't be able to edit it because we only invited people to view it. This is the link for it. Okay. Now, I do see a few questions that are really important to address right now. One, is track changes enabled if we give them access to edit the file? No. So it will just change out. So be careful of who you're saying, at least Sway, because it was made to be faster. It was just made to be, this is a very easy way to make a newsletter suddenly. Right? And this will answer the question next, which is this essentially built to replace PowerPoint? No. PowerPoint is very, very much a more powerful presentation tool. But on the other hand, when you want to make something super quickly, okay, when you want to make something super quickly, or you want to present something in a time crunch and you don't have a lot of time, but you have all of the information, instead of going through PowerPoint to granularly put in the design that I want to make sure that everything looks specifically the way I want it to look like. Sway gives you that time back and just says, give me your content. I will make it look as nice as I can. I will make it look very much, like a rolling newsletter. And hopefully this is something that you'd like, right? And the reason why we show this is because I've used this to show off images to people, right? I've used this to give out newsletters. I've used it to give out informational pieces, instead of just giving. Let's say instead of just giving somebody, here's a Word document, just read it through. I've sent them sways instead, so that they can just click the link and then go. So they don't have to open up an attachment. They don't have to open up anything. Right? They can just go to the web page and they'll see everything that's here. And we still have that security of making sure that when we share it out, we can just make sure that it's specific people or anyone with a link. Now, that would be Sway. Again, it's not built to replace PowerPoint, but it is a quicker way to make sure that, you wanted to make your information look good in a quick amount of time. Here's Sway. The last piece of Office 365 technology that I'll be showing you today will be forms. Okay? Now, if you go to your landing page, all right, inside of your Office 365, you can then go to your app launcher at the top, click Forms, and then it should open up this for you. Okay, so I already made a test quiz for this one. But what is Forms? Forms is just something that you can make questionnaires out of. Okay. All right. So what we can do is we can always put in like, let's say we wanted to make a new quiz, right? Or because this one is the edu account that we have for demos, it will default to new quiz, or you can just make it so that it's a new form. All right. And what it does is, let's say you wanted to make a poll, but you wanted to dive deeper into what you wanted to ask your survey respondents. You can grab a new form instead. And from here, you can actually build out those questions by just saying untitled form. And what I'm going to say is January 19, right? January 19 test form. And I'm going to put in a description that just says this is our test form. And you'll see at the top, there are two tabs, questions and responses. On the upper right, you'll see you can preview the questionnaire you're going to be putting together, or you can even change the theme of the questionnaire. By default, it's green. And from here, we have that ubiquitous share button that we've seen from all of the other ones, aside from OneNote. It's not as easy to see like when it comes to OneNote, but you'll be able to share this out immediately, as easy as you shared out a document in OneDrive or a new sway that you might have. Now, when we click Add New, so we put in our title. When we click Add New, you'll be given a series of choices and say, is this a question that would be for? Is this a multiple choice item? Is this something that would have text in it? Okay. I can delete this one. Or would it be a rating? Would it be a date? You know, if you wanted to ask, hey, when do you want the party to be? All right, when do you want our holiday party to be? It could be a date as well. So what I can do is, let's say choice, and it will give me what is the question, right? So let's say sample question for the form. For this one, you'll be given several options. And from here, I can say answer 1 and then answer 2. And I can even add more options if I'd like. And I can even add in other options. And then from here, answer 3. And from here, I can also say there can be multiple answers in here. So notice that our circles, okay, our circles beside the answers, if you click multiple answers, it becomes checkboxes. And you can even set it so that this question is required before they can submit it. And I can say add new, and then I can just put in text instead. Tell me what you think. And they can put in a line answer, just one line, or you can give them the space to write a longer answer. But maybe you can say that it's not required, so they can submit the form when they're done, right? And put it through. The last one I will show you, you'll be able to see that you can also change these questions by using the drop down, by putting a ranking system, a Likert system if you'd like, an NPS if you like, but we're just going to put in a rating. Was this form okay? Right? And I can put in, instead of stars, I can put in numbers instead, and I can put in 3 levels of this, and I can say that it's required. And when I am done, okay, I can preview this form by left clicking the preview at the top right, and then seeing that, oh, this is what it's going to look like to your respondents, and this is what's going to look like on a phone for your respondents as well. And when I'm done with this, I can change the theme, right? Let's put our balloons and clouds in there. When I'm done, I can click share one more time. Same thing with everything else. We can have our people in our organization can respond, or anyone can respond. And then I also have a separate part here that I can share it to collaborate with somebody else. So I can copy this link, and then I can actually paste this into here. Now, and then if you click into that one, you'll actually find that responses show up into this. Now, I see a very, very fair question in the chat. Is can you basically make if-then questions? You know, if the answer to question 3 is yes, then proceed to question 4. If no, proceed to question 5. So unfortunately, at this point, there's nothing yet that would be that. It is something that they are looking at. But I'm going to show you my quiz that I made earlier. So the test quiz, right? But if I click add new, right, you won't have, you won't be able, you can do add branching for this one, right? You can do if then, but you just have to make sure, okay? Because you can do it, but I've found that a lot of, I've found that a lot of people who use forms, they forget that it's here, okay? So I'm going to say, let's say, okay, for option 1, if you say yes to this, you have to go to the end of the form, right? If you say option 2, you go to end of the form as well, or you go to question number 3. The problem is you have to make sure that everything is either required or not required. Okay, so it's up to you when you make that form. Okay, and then can forms address voting? Right, and you'll also see that there's now branching options for this one. So when you have that branching option, you can make sure that it goes to the specific questions that you want. And we also see the responses that I've gotten. Because this was a quiz, I graded it. Right, so an average of 9, and we'll see all of that through. And we have a response from the other one. Because this is not a quiz at all, we have average time to complete is 18 seconds. Okay, there you go. So we have that through. Now, a lot of the other ones, again, there are a few more things that you could do with this, but this is a very high level preview of all of these different tools that we have. Okay, but we are going to end the presentation here, but I will be here. If you're still here live, I will be here to answer any questions that you may have. But for the recording, this is the end of our recording. Thank you so much for joining us. Okay. For this one, hopefully you were able to see a high-level overview of all 4 of these different pieces of Office 365 technology. Okay. So we're going to stop. We're going to stop the recording. Thank you so much for joining us. For those who are part of the recording, thank you. So we're going to click stop recording.